Animal Justice Party MP Georgie Purcell is playing the victim card because we criticised her on abortion. This is so predictable from the left. Every time you criticise them substantively, they trump out the victim card because they don't have any substantive arguments. But what she's really trying to hide via this victim card is her truly sinister agenda on abortion. You're going to be really shocked. These are the most radical proposals we have ever seen in an Australian state, and that's saying a lot because earlier this year we defeated radical proposals by the Greens in New South Wales. That's the good news, that we know we can defeat them. The bad news is if this became law, we just wouldn't recognise Australia. So we need to talk about it. That's today on the Dr. Jo Show. Before we get into the episode, I would really like to thank all of you who have subscribed to the channel. We're nearly at 30K, which is amazing. And I would like you to subscribe. If you're new here, please can you do that? YouTube has flagged us as a dangerous channel. People, when they click on the video, they get that. I'm not sure if it's happening for everyone, but we're getting inundated by emails from people saying that that's happened. So please do subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I think that means that YouTube will show you the video. You can be part of our dangerous movement. So, you know who's really dangerous? It's actually Georgie Purcell and what her proposals are for Victoria. They are truly terrifying. We're going to get to that in a minute. But before we get there, I do want to say you've got to give it to Georgie. She knows how to run a campaign. She's very performative for social media. She's like one of those MPs who exists for social media. You know, they do the speech in Parliament with the reel that they're going to place on Instagram later that day in mind. That's Georgie Purcell. And, you know, she's been gearing up to these radical abortion proposals for months. Even her pregnancy announcement had this bill in mind. So she announced a pregnancy a couple of months ago, and she very explicitly said, I'm having a baby, but I'm having this baby knowing that I had 2 previous abortions. And she celebrated those previous abortions, the previous babies she'd killed in that pregnancy announcement. At the time that she did that, we called it on this channel first. We said she is going to introduce a bill similar to the Amanda Con bill in New South Wales, although when we look at it, it's actually going to be way worse. That's what's now transpired. But we called it. We said this pregnancy announcement isn't just a pregnancy announcement. This is her gearing up to do radical abortion law reforms in Victoria. I think there is a really positive story to take away from all of that, but there's also a warning. You know, this is part of a well-orchestrated campaign. It's very clear that Georgie Purcell is preparing to bring in an Amanda Con bill in Victoria. And at the time that she made that very strategic pregnancy announcement celebrating abortion and talking about the need for abortion and abortion access in Victoria, she played the victim card. She said, how dare you come after me? How dare you critique my pregnancy announcement? What I do with my own body is my own choice. These are my private choices. Now, never mind the fact she literally made a speech in Parliament announcing her pregnancy and celebrating her abortions, and on social media as well. If you don't want to get critiqued for your extremist abortion views, then don't use your parliamentary platform to proclaim them. Don't use your social media platform, which is elevated because you are a member of Parliament. And don't be afraid of the critique. But here she is again, a couple of weeks ago, as she's gearing up to make this big announcement. She put this provocative post on socials with her dancing with dolphins and saying, if you don't like abortion, don't have one. She had gross music to it. It was aimed at going viral. It did go quite far, which is really concerning. But then, because we critiqued her, Lucy Bonham from the Bird Flip team, she put up an excellent spoof video. It was satirical. It used the same gross music. We agonised over whether to use that music because it was just so gross. But we actually showed the real victims of abortion. So Georgie had herself dancing with dolphins, saying if you don't like abortion, don't have one. Lucy and the Bird Flip girls, when they put this video up, the spoof video, they showed the true victims of abortion, the victims from late-term abortion in the US. There were 5 babies who were rescued. Well, not rescued because they'd already been brutally killed, but some abortion activists convinced the driver of a garbage truck who was exiting the abortion clinic, they convinced him to let them see the back of the truck. And they said to him, you know, do you know what you're carrying here? And he said, it's just garbage from this health facility. It's nothing. And they said, no, you've got dead babies in the back of your truck. And so they convinced him to let them see. And in those garbage bags with these so many bodies, and these 5 babies in particular were pieced together, and they were the victims that Lucy and the girls show in this video. Now, it didn't go as far as Georgie Purcell's video. We don't have that reach. We don't have her privilege and her platform. We don't have everybody we don't have the establishment on our side. We don't have the algorithm in our favour. In fact, the Instagram's put a sensitive content warning, which limits the reach of the post. But we did reach 50,000, and I don't think it would have made Georgie feel comfortable. I think seeing herself dancing in front of these victims of abortion, these babies, precious little babies who've been brutally killed, it wouldn't have made her feel comfortable. I deliberately wanted to wear this shirt, the Baby Savers Club. In filming this video, we sell these T-shirts via our shop. We've also got mugs and other kind of materials, hats and things. None of the proceeds go to anything other than saving babies, to this work, to this fight. We don't take any profits from it. The link to the shop is down below. And so a couple of days later, predictably, she plays the victim card and she makes this post. She writes, "This week I make my way out of the second trimester and I promise to share the parts of pregnancy that I felt comfortable. And to be honest, I've chosen to much less than I thought I would, and this might explain to you why. I am high risk, largely on the watch for fetal heart complications because of my autoimmune disease, and doing what I can do to reduce stress or further exacerbating complications. But there's some anti-choice losers on a pretty relentless course of attacking me each and every day. Emails, messages and comments like this have been the outcome." And she has a carousel post of some really horrendous, gross comments. Like they are gross. They use gross words that I'm not going to repeat here. And these comments, we can all agree are gross. Like we can agree that Georgie's a human being. She's got human dignity. We can really critique her views and tell you that these views are vile and they're disgusting and they have no place in the parliament, and we cannot allow this horrible bill that she's about to bring to pass. We can say that without these kinds of comments. But then she goes on, "Every abortion story is valid. Every abortion story is warranted, including my own. And know that I will never stop fighting for that right for everyone. Thank you to all the lovely people who have been sending kindness too. It doesn't go unnoticed. P.S. Lucy, Joanna, and whatever your silly little org is called, I will not tag you to raise your audience. Please come and collect your supporters. I think they're lost. Kiss, hug." So you can see what Georgie Purcell's doing here. She's trying to put all of you guys and all of us and all of the Bird Flip girls in the same basket as these unhinged people who have who've written some comments and sent some messages. Now, the thing is, this doesn't work. We're not unhinged. We're critiquing her on the substance. We think it's really gross what she's trying to do. We don't think that every abortion story is valid. We think that in every abortion story, there's a stronger party who kills and celebrates the annihilation of a vulnerable, voiceless, marginalised party, that little baby. We know that this is a genocide. We don't agree with her on abortion. We don't write these comments. We don't agree with her on these comments. In fact, we write legitimate comments that she and her minders then go busy deleting. Like that's just what Georgie Purcell is actually doing. Any substantive critiques from the Bird Flip girls or myself or other people that support us, she's busy there deleting them so that it looks like the comments are supportive on her page. We didn't write these gross comments, but you can see what she's doing there at the end. P.S. Lucy, Joanne, and whatever your silly little org is called, it's Bird Flip. She knows that. I will not take you to raise your audience. Please come and collect your supporters. Because she's doing what the left has always done, which is, if you're marching for Australia, you're a Nazi. If you're against abortion, you're critiquing Georgie Purcell, then you're an unhinged loony who's calling her the C word. Like that's what she wants. That's what they want to do. But it's not going to work, and we're not going to accept it. I'm not going to cower. You're not going to cower. We're not going to apologise for comments we didn't write, things we didn't say. This is pathetic and it's lame. And, it actually just puts a fire in my belly because we've been falsely accused. It's ridiculous. And let's not forget, it was her side of politics that was doing happy dances and celebrating Charlie Kirk's brutal murder. That came from the radical left where Georgie Purcell is. Now, I didn't write these comments. You didn't write these comments. There's a very real possibility she made them up. That would not surprise me. They're gross. I don't endorse them. But we're not going to be silenced. That is just the reality. And we're going to move on to actually discussing the very sinister proposal. So when she dropped that I'm the victim, Joanna and Lucy are gross. You have to laugh because it is just so pathetic. strategically that same week, she released a so-called report into abortion access in Victoria. And so that's what this was about. This was a pre-report drop campaign stunt. The report, if we can call it that, that's generous. It's really a propaganda piece. We're gonna go through it in detail in a minute. You're gonna be shocked by the proposals. It was co-authored with the Cannabis Party MP. So this is just a bunch of radical lefties getting together to advance the killing of babies in Victoria. Now, remember, in Victoria, it's already legal up until birth for any reason. These guys just want to make that even worse, if you can imagine. And that's why I'm glad that we're doing what we're doing, because I think a lot of people have felt that the pro-life fight is over before we started to get involved. They sort of felt like, well, we've got abortion up to birth. We tried, we fought it. It didn't work. Let's move on to other issues like gender. And I've even had like Christian leaders tell me that in their strategic plan, they're not focusing on abortion, or that's what they told me sort of 18 months ago. I didn't settle for that. You guys didn't settle for that. We knew that there is nothing more gross than this. There's no greater injustice than these little babies that are being slaughtered. And the thing that you see from the left is that they don't rest on their laurels, right? They don't introduce abortion up to birth and they say, job done. We can kill all the babies now. We've created that legal environment. They keep going, and you're going to be really blown away by what Georgie and the radical left in Victoria are wanting to do. So this so-called report, it's 7 pages long. It's called Access in Action, Abortion Care in Victoria. It's jointly authored by the Animal Justice Party and Legalise Cannabis Victoria. There's no methodology in the report, like literally no methodology, which is why we can't call it a report. There's nothing in there about how they gathered the data, what they did. In fact, what they say is that they're thankful to Women's Health Victoria, who did the interviews and provided much of the material for the report. And so we don't know what Women's Health Victoria did. They're a pro-abortion group. They're an activist pro-abortion group with that euphemistic name, Women's Health Victoria. But, they've clearly taken a sample, like a biased, skewed sample of women who come to them for abortions, who they then help to kill their babies, who they refer on to do that. They facilitate that killing. They've now used that self-selection bias of women who want abortion, who get co-opted into abortion, and they're the people in this. Now, there's a smattering of quotes, a smattering of journal articles. All, the quotes are all from women who want abortion. The journal articles are all written by academic activists who are into abortion and have made it their career to celebrate and promote abortion. This is not a report, but what it is an attempt to create the groundwork for the bill. And so what we can do is look at the content of the report and we can know what's coming. And we have to. I think too often in these debates on abortion, these public debates on abortion, we react too late. We didn't do that in New South Wales. We saw Amanda Conn coming a mile away and we were ready. And as a result, we gutted all of the really bad bits in that bill. That was a victory for us. We need to do that in Victoria. So the first recommendation is for free medical and surgical abortions. So this is a recommendation that taxpayer money, your money and my money, would go towards killing babies right up until birth. You have to remember that in Victoria, this was the first state to introduce abortion up to birth for any reason. You have to remember that this has allowed perfectly healthy, full-term babies to be killed, injected with poison and delivered dead. This is the place where it starts. And the justification that they give for it is this quote. They say, "I'm in northern eastern Victoria and a few months ago I had to inquire about medical abortion in my area. There was only one provider and wait time for the service was so long that many women are actually unable to access the service within their required time frame and then they need to go elsewhere. I had a surgical termination pre-COVID in Queensland for $300. To my shock, it cost me $720 for the medical option this year in Victoria. I am grateful to be able to afford this but extremely saddened that the price is so out of reach to a lot of us." This is a woman who has had 2 abortions. So she's got a vested interest in abortion being cheap, right? Like she doesn't want to spend more money on it. She's going to have more abortions. She wants it to be cheap. She has a vested interest in the outcome of this research. She's biased. Like you can't use this as the evidence base. But you know who benefits from Georgie Purcell's recommendation that we make abortion free? It's the abortion industry. It's the abortion industry that gives money to the Animal Justice Party. It's the abortion industry that supports Georgie Purcell as their key voice in the public square at the moment. It's the abortion industry who gets then our money via the government because the government will pay for these abortions to be free. It's not like the abortion industry is going to like say, oh, well, we're going to make it free. No. Our money is going to go to the government who's going to give that to the abortion industry to make it free. That's what's going to happen. We already saw this in the ACT. Marie Stopes, which is our biggest sort of abortion business in the country, they lobbied the ACT Labor Greens government to make abortion free. Our taxpayer money in Canberra went to that government, who then funneled it to Marie Stopes, who gets, instead of the person seeking the abortion paying, the government just pays for them. Because look at the prices on Marie Stopes' website for abortion. Abortion by telehealth, so if you get it over the phone, it's $475. $475 for a phone call, remembering that the government already subsidises these pills. So if you're having a medical abortion, which is when you take pills to kill your baby and you do it at home, the government already subsidises this hugely. These pills cost $6.60 for a concession card holder. They cost $41.60 for everybody else. So for less than the price of a milkshake, you can kill your baby if you're a concession card holder. And for less than the price of this T-shirt, you can kill a baby for everybody else. And so when Marie Stopes is charging $475 to give women these drugs, they're taking a huge cut. This tells you how much money they're making for an abortion in the clinic, where they literally just hand you the pills. So you turn up and they hand you the pills. They've had the conversation with you and then they give it to you. That's $645. For a surgical abortion, the starting price is $805. I mean, there is a lot of money in this. They call themselves not-for-profit, but that just masks the fact that there's huge salaries, there's huge perks. They've got so much money coming in. This is a billion-dollar global industry. And when Georgie Purcell says she wants to make abortion free, this is about lining the coffers of the abortion industry, because you can already go to your GP. You can already go to the emergency department in a hospital and say you want an abortion and get the drugs there much, much, much cheaper. But Marie Stopes and these big abortion businesses, they prey on women. They actually advertise. I've had quite a few guys send me the advertisements that pop up on your feed that say, if you've got an unplanned pregnancy, we can help, which really just means, are you feeling stressed about the fact that you've unexpectedly got pregnant, which happens to so many of us. I got unexpectedly pregnant with my fifth, but they prey on you and they say, well, we can help. What they really mean is we can kill. That's what this is about. It's making the abortion industry richer. And make no mistake, this isn't just about money for the abortion industry. This is also about power, because with money, they can access power. They can lobby. They can donate. And we see this. We see that Larissa Waters from the Greens is on the big abortion activist group, Children by Choice. We see these links. We know that they are there. There is a huge amount of money and power in all of this. The second recommendation is to force all public hospitals to perform abortions up to 12 weeks and to remove institutional conscientious objection. So this is the bit that I think should really frighten us, because this is the bit that is saying you can't be a health worker opposed to abortion. You've got no safe haven. There's nowhere you can go where you won't be forced into this. At the moment, we have Christian hospitals. We have hospitals that are safe havens for workers that don't want anything to do with killing babies. And this is the vast majority of OBGYNs and GPs and nurses and midwives. Most of those guys want nothing to do with it. Their peak bodies have been captured by abortion activists like Ranscock and AMA. But most of the ordinary people, the vast majority of health workers, they just don't want to do this. And this is the problem. There's an access issue because people don't want to do it. So the quote they use to support this recommendation is from a woman who lives in the Central Victorian region, and she writes, "Northern Victoria and the process of getting an abortion was completely traumatic for me. I found out I was pregnant and had my initial GP appointment of 5 weeks, yet I was only able to access an abortion at 10 weeks pregnant because there are no local surrounding services and wait times are observed, as well as taking time off work for travel to said services. My nearest clinic for a surgical termination was 2.5 hours one way with absolutely no aftercare post-termination." So this person's upset because she can't force a GP or a doctor in her local area to kill a baby. That's what this is about, the fact that she couldn't just demand someone kill a baby. She couldn't just organise the hit on her own child. The fact that we have free will, that we have consciences, that we're allowed to exercise those consciences to not participate in something so gross. That's what this is about, that they want to remove institutional conscientious objection as a way of forcing everybody to participate. Because if you're in a hospital that doesn't have institutional conscientious objection, there's pressure. I get this all the time from people who reach out to me who say because of, short staffing and pressures and rostering, even if you have a conscientious objection to abortion and you're at a regular hospital, a non-faith-based one, it can result in you being in the room. It can result in you being part of it. Even if you're trying your hardest and you've communicated your conscientious objection, the pressure that is brought to bear on you. And institutional conscientious objection is something that we have respected. These Catholic hospitals, these Christians who are running these institutions, they're doing a service to our country, a service to our state. We've always recognised that. But now Georgie Purcell wants to bully them and intimidate them into forcing them to perform abortions. This has been part of a well-orchestrated campaign. The ABC and The Guardian have been running this for some years now. We saw this in the lead up to the Amanda Greens bill. They failed there, so they've moved somewhere else. And I agree they're smart because Victoria is obviously the place where they're going to have the best chance of succeeding. And the Greens and the ABC have run this campaign for years now, and it's been escalating against Mercy Hospital, against other Christian faith-based hospitals because they don't want to do abortions. The report even references another person who says, Werribee Mercy, a publicly funded hospital, refused to give me a D&C, dilation and curettage, for an incomplete miscarriage. Even though there was no longer a fetus there, this was after waiting 48 hours in the ER to confirm I'd lost a much-wanted pregnancy. If you refuse to give medical care based on religion, you should not be able to be a public hospital. Now, this just isn't even true. This makes no sense. It reminds me, it echoes a hit piece that the ABC did recently on the Mercy Hospital in Queensland. They've clearly got it out for Catholic hospitals. Now, you guys might think that these people might be gross because they're into killing babies, but they wouldn't make something up. But that's exactly what we had in that ABC post. The Mercy Hospital in Queensland denied it completely. The ABC post, which was then recirculated by the Labor Party and posted on their Instagram, was about the fact that people were coming to the Mercy Hospital, their babies had already died or were in the process of dying, they were pre-viable, they'd had miscarriages, and the Mercy was turning them away. The Mercy denied it completely, but that didn't stop the ABC from doing its hit piece and for that social media pylon on Christian hospitals. Same thing here. We have in this so-called report a person that apparently went to Mercy Hospital in Werribee that had an incomplete miscarriage, their baby was dead, and they were turned away. It does not make sense because Catholic teaching only says we can't kill. Catholic hospitals have confirmed time and time again that they will treat a woman for miscarriage. The procedure is the same, guys. It's a dilation and curettage, but it's not an abortion when it's used for a miscarriage because the intention matters. If the intention is to kill, then Catholics can't do it. You and I can't do it. We can't be involved in it. It's barbaric. But if the baby has died, then removing the bits of the baby, this already deceased child, that's okay, that's ethical, that's fine. The method, the procedure, the medical procedure, dilation and curettage, it's the same. It's the same thing, but it's fundamentally different if the baby is dead. So I don't think this happened. I don't think the ABC thing happened. I think all of this is part of their orchestrated campaign to attack Christians and faith-based hospitals. There is nothing in Catholic teaching that presents this. Show me the part. I would challenge Georgie Purcell. If she really stands by this report, I would challenge anyone in the ABC. Show me the bit in Catholic teaching which says you cannot remove a deceased infant from a mother's body. Nobody's fighting that. Nobody's objecting to that. They're just using this because they actually don't have true stories. They don't have real examples to make the Catholic hospital system look barbaric, so they're just making this up. The next recommendation in this report, and you're not going to believe this goes even further than what Amanda was trying to do in New South Wales, which was really bad. It would have made New South Wales the most extreme jurisdiction in the world. This is even worse. Georgie Purcell wants to create a watchdog to monitor conscientious objectors in Victoria. So you heard that right, guys. Not only do they want to just remove institutional conscientious objection so there's no safe haven for health workers who don't want to kill, she actually wants to create a Gestapo, like some kind of secret police mechanism to monitor what health workers who are against abortion are doing in their place of work. She wants to harass them. She wants to intimidate them. She wants to oversee. This is not neutral. This is not innocuous. This is sinister. This is her attempt to make a health worker who doesn't want to perform abortion as uncomfortable as possible and ultimately to get them out of the system. That's the goal. Like they want to create healthcare as a monolithic entity. They don't want diversity. These people talk a big game about diversity and inclusion, but they don't want to include you. They don't want to include me. If you don't agree with their dogma that abortion is healthcare, then you're out. And they're gonna watch you until they find one little slip up and then they're gonna get rid of you. That's the goal here. That's what this is about. How is this even constitutional? How is this okay that a certain group of people is subjected to greater scrutiny and intimidation because of the view that they hold? You know, how is this not like in the lead up to Nazi Germany when Jewish people were made to wear a star? How is it not like this? And if you look at the evidence base in the report in inverted commas, look at what they say. The reason they give for why there needs to be a watchdog, there's one quote. This is what they say. There is also no statewide data collected on conscientious objection. We do not know how many conscientious objectors there are in Victoria, whether they are complying with their referral obligations or how many people are having their care delayed or denied. While complaints can be made to the Health Complaints Commissioner or the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency, only a handful are made each year. So if there's only a handful of complaints, why do we need a watchdog? Like, surely that tells you there's not really a problem here, right? Like if there isn't an outpouring of complaints, I don't think there's a problem going on. That what the real issue that Georgie Purcell has is with conscientious objection. She doesn't want doctors, nurses and midwives and OBGYNs to be able to exercise their conscience not to kill. So she wants a watchdog to monitor and harass them out of the system. That's what this is about. The next recommendation, again, this was not in the radical Greens bill in New South Wales, so this is Georgie Purcell taking us further. She now wants to propose no ultrasound pathways. So you can kill your baby, but you don't see them first. What possible reason could there be for no ultrasound pathways? What could it be, guys? You know, it's actually dangerous. These people talk a big game about being in a women's safety, but it's actually dangerous because if you are giving women MS2-step, those chemical abortion pills, you have to confirm that the pregnancy is not in the fallopian tubes, that it's not ectopic. Because what those pills do, the first pill removes the progesterone to the baby, so they starve to death. The second pill expels that baby out of the mother. So they deliver that baby onto the bathroom floor, into the toilet. Now, if the baby's in the fallopian tubes, that could literally kill the mother. That's an ectopic pregnancy. But they don't care. Like Georgie Purcell, you know, they talk a big game about women's safety, but it's really exposed here. She really wants to create a no ultrasound pathway. And this tells you they don't care about women. They just care about abortion. That's what this is about. This is about abortion. It's not about women. Because if she cared about women's safety, they wouldn't do this. So why are they doing this, guys? I want you to think about it for a moment. What is the basis for this? Why are they creating a no ultrasound pathway? It's not that hard, is it? The real reason is because they don't want women to see. They know that seeing that image might change a woman's mind. And in fact, in the US, where certain states have laws that require an ultrasound before killing a baby, it actually has led to less abortions in those states. There was a mixed method study by a group of researchers evaluating the impact of a mandatory pre-abortion ultrasound viewing law. And the study looked at Wisconsin, which had this law, and it used a mixed methods approach. So it looked at abortion data, so how many abortions happened in the year prior to the law and how many abortions happened after. And then there were qualitative interviewing done. So they did interviews with women who had been impacted by this law, who had had abortions after the law was introduced. The results of this study are really interesting. Out of 5,432 women, 8.7% continued with their pregnancies before the law was passed. So they went for an abortion. They wanted to get that abortion. 8.7% prior to having to view the ultrasound mandatorily under the law decided not to have an abortion. But 1 year after the law was introduced, out of the over 5,000 sample, 11.2% decided to keep their baby. So a greater number kept their baby after seeing the ultrasound. And then they did interviews to try and unpack this data. 19 of the 23 women interviewed viewed their ultrasound image. Most reported no impact on their abortion decision. But for women who had been uncertain, so they'd gone into that abortion and they were genuinely tortured, they were uncertain, seeing the ultrasound made them stop. So made them stop killing their baby. So 5 reported a temporary emotional impact, but 2 women reported that viewing helped them decide to continue the pregnancy. And so It's there in black and white. We know this is not the only study. Seeing the ultrasound makes a difference. It doesn't make a difference to all women, but it makes a difference to some women, and it leads to some babies being saved. And Georgie Purcell would claim to be pro-choice, but what this really shows, because Georgie Purcell would know this study, she knows what she's doing here. She's pro-abortion. She just wants women to pick abortion. She doesn't want them to have an informed choice. Seeing the ultrasound would be an informed choice. It would be actually confronting the thing that you're about to do. She doesn't want that. And the real agenda here is even more sinister, because it's not just about ensuring that everybody goes into that abortion clinic, has the abortion because they haven't viewed the ultrasound. The real agenda here is the dehumanization of the victim of abortion, of that baby, because they know that if they conceal the victim, if they don't show you the victim, if women don't see who they're killing, then that victim is erased completely, right? Like a no ultrasound pathway erases the baby completely. It's about pretending that this isn't a tiny little life, tiny little human life with fingers and toes, with a face. It's the deliberate removal of empathy by removing sight. So this is all really sobering, isn't it? And I deliberately wanted to wear this shirt, the Baby Savers Club, because this gets to the heart of it. You're either a part of the Baby Savers Club or you're a part of the Baby Killers Club. Georgie Purcell and the radical leftists in Victoria, they didn't succeed in New South Wales, so they're doing it in Victoria. They know that's where they got the best shot, and they absolutely want to advance the killing of babies up to birth, to make it free, to force everybody to be involved, to remove your conscientious objection, to remove your rights to be opposed to this. You know, all of these fundamental rights in a democracy. They want to remove the baby. You know, that these are just the grossest, vilest proposals I have ever seen. And so we've had the pre-campaign hysteria, the victim card. We've had the report drop. The next thing is the bill. The bill's coming, and we need to be ready. So we've got a petition down below. That's the first step to joining this campaign. I need you to sign the petition. The good news here, guys, is we have form. We know the campaign we need to run. We ran it in New South Wales. We now need to run it in Victoria. We need to reach out to the churches. I need your help on the ground to start creating that movement in Victoria. We're going to need to fly people in from interstate for these rallies. We're going to need to all gather, because the thing we know to be true is this: all they need to do is pass it somewhere, and then within 10 years it will be rolled out everywhere. We saw that with abortion up to birth in Victoria in 2008, the first place to introduce it. By 2024, it was legalised across the country. So we know what their game is. We know what they do. We know we have to throw everything at stopping this bill. That is absolutely what we have to do. The good news is Jacinta Allen, who's the pro-abortion Premier of Victoria, and I didn't think I'd be able to say the words good news and Jacinta Allen in the one sentence, but she actually did block a Greens attempt last year to constitutionalise a right to abortion in Victoria. They had this that proposal, and she announced that Labor just wouldn't be supporting it. That led to it languishing. It just doesn't exist. No one's trying to constitutionalise the right to abortion in Victoria anymore, because Jacinta Allen said, we're not going to do it. We're not going to give it government time. We're not going to support it. That killed it. That's all she needs to do now. And that's what our petition is about. That's what we need to focus on. We don't want what Chris Minns did in New South Wales to happen. We don't want him to give this government time. That's what he did. He gave it government time. It's now law. We managed to gut that bill, but there's still a provision around midwives and nurses performing abortions. We don't want that. And that's the other thing we've got to be aware of here, guys, is they will often introduce something really radical, knowing that it moves the Overton window, that it moves thinking, but also knowing that it's likely to be amended. Now, we don't want amendment. We want this bill gone. There is nothing in this bill that is good. It all needs to go. So what can we do? Sign the petition, buy some shirts, buy some stuff, support our work, donate if you can, because we've got a big defensive campaign on the horizon that's going to be in Victoria, and I'm going to want to do it with all of you. So thank you for watching. Share this video, comment down below, and I'll see you next time on The Dr. Jo Show.